Welcome back to Be the Good with Kate, the show that inspires each of us to see how we have the power to make a difference all around us. Each episode highlights an individual doing good in the world while following their passions, good for their own souls and for others. I get so excited about sharing each and every episode of Be the Good with you, and I hope you enjoy these people and stories. If you're new here, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you so much for your support. I'm so glad you found Be the Good with Kate and would love to hear from you. If you're finding value in these episodes, I invite you to share with someone who could also use this dose of good news, or tag me on social with your favorite quote from the episode. Every share, subscriber, review, and comment helps me to share these guests' wonderful work to more people. Thank you for your help in this. Now, on to this week's episode. Let's spread a little more goodness in the world. I picked Rick's episode to share with you this week because he is a jazz musician, and I somehow have always associated New Year's Eve with a big jazz band. Now, I have yet to be in the middle of a jazz club with champagne flowing when the clock strikes midnight, but goals, right? Have you? If so, tell me about it. But I'm getting off track. This episode might be going live as we step into New Year's Eve weekend, but Rick DellaRatta's organization, Jazz for Peace, is working year-round and worldwide. Rick began writing as a poem poured out of him after 9/11, Jazz for Peace. When he read it aloud to help start his first concert after these events, it inspired thousands. This then turned into a worldwide organization to support other nonprofits through music. Yes, a nonprofit with a mission to help other nonprofits. Rick had played me a live jazz piano piece to start our episode, but unfortunately the sound didn't transfer through Zoom very well from the piano, so I thought I'd share a bit from a Jazz for Peace performance to move us into this episode. Here's Rick.
One is life, if you can live it, take some time. You got to give yourself a break, you got to live life for today. Stop and smell the roses. You gotta help me understand why it takes a fallen angel to change your mind. You got to give yourself a break. You gotta live life for today. Top it off.
Today's guest I'm thrilled to share with you is Rick DellaRatta. He is the founder of Jazz for Peace. I know that Jazz for Peace came about right at the time of 9/11, and the poem started it. And since then, you have been all over the world. So before I get ahead of myself, I guess, just tell me more about who you are and what you do in your own words, because obviously now the audience knows you are a jazz pianist and singer. So fill in the rest for us, please.
Well, basically, I had traveled a lot already before 9/11, just as, a sideman playing in different bands, some of them kind of well-known, bands like the Artie Shaw Big Band. They used to travel over the United States. The Platters from the 1950s, they used to travel on, ships and go to islands and stuff like that. I was an opening act and MC for the great jazz legend Dizzy Gillespie, all kinds of that. Then my records came out and I started to travel under my own name, you name it, Europe, South America, a lot in Asia. I had already been to Japan, let's say 7 times before 9/11 hit. So I'd done a lot of different things around here and around there. But when 9/11 hit, I realized that music had this incredible ability to unite people in positive ways, to break through all kinds of barriers, from language to creed to race to religion to location, everything. And so I realized that maybe it was time for me to walk the walk and do my part, which I knew anyway was true. I just needed to maybe act out on it. So I had written a poem called those words that you heard, I actually just wrote. They just came out of me when I was watching the events of 9/11. So I did have this poem to go by. And of course, all of us are guilty of talking the talk. I mean, we love to do it. But I was thinking, here I have this poem and I have this knowledge that I know that it does unite people. I've seen it from my own eyes. Maybe I should try to live up to the words of the poem. That would be a good little exercise. And I'm still trying. I'm still exercising it. I mean, it's just, it just turned out to be a path that just kind of rings true for me. It gives me a chance to unite my artistic gifts with my own spiritual beliefs, that we can make a difference, every one of us. You know, you don't have to be this guy or that guy or rich or, you know, this or that. All of us really have that innate ability to make a difference.
And I love that. Rick, well, for the audience, we just discovered that Rick and I live about a block away from each other. So who knew? If you hear a siren on my end, you're going to hear it on your end too, I'm sure, during the next bit of time.
In stereo.
But Rick, I know during 9/11, you were witnessing the events from a rooftop. And can you just paint a little bit of that picture of what it was like there in that moment? And then from that moment to forming Jazz for Peace as an organization?
Well, I was tipped off, and I've told this story at length on other podcasts about, you know, how someone called me, basically, was a photographer friend of mine who had done a photo shoot of me recently, and was down on Wall Street and just said, hey, something's going on. I don't know who to call. I'm just dialing your number. I hope you don't mind. I said, no, what's up? You know, so I ended up on the roof, like, something's going on, and I could see the World Trade Center from my roof because I was less than a quarter of a mile away. I was down on the Lower East Side, as I told you off camera. So, you know, I lived on the 5th floor walk up. So I used to use my roof all the time because I was right there. So I just walked up on the roof. And next thing I know, I feel like someone who basically just walked into like, you know, you're sitting at a movie and all of a sudden you get up and walk into the screen. That's what it was. I felt like I had walked into a movie. You know, I wasn't like I had walked into that which you normally are watching from a movie seat. That's what it felt like. Yeah. You know, I'm like, you just can't believe what you're witnessing. I mean, and those words were just coming out. I mean, what else could I do but write down some words that were coming out of me anyway on a piece of paper? So, you know, because what do? You don't know what to do, really. I mean, you're not prepared. It's not something that, you know, there's no script for something like that. So.
Absolutely not. And so now you have this poem and the weeks and months are going by. You decide you're taking it one step further. Like you had just said, you're going to do something about it. How did it come about that it took the form of Jazz for Peace as an organization?
Well, it started, actually, I never really stewarded it myself. It kind of took its own thing because, first of all, the words come out of me. Like they just came out of me. I didn't sit there and ponder. They're just like, these words come out. Now I have a poem. Next thing I know, the whole country was closed for, as you know, a few weeks or whatever. And I'm like, I had a very important concert. I was the headliner at the Savannah Jazz Festival in Georgia. And I'm like, boy, what a shame it would be if they don't open up the country in this festival. You know, what are they going to do? They opened up the country just before, you know, just in time, really, to get. I mean, we were one of the first flights that was in the reopened. You know, me and my trio were, you know, they opened it up and there off we go to the airport and we get on, you know, a plane to Georgia. And now, you know, here I am in front of 8,500 people at this jazz festival with a poem. So I read it. You know, I just read the poem. And then, you know, I did see that it affected people very profoundly, you know, the guys in the band, the people in the audience. I saw people crying, all that stuff. But it reverberated. So when I got back to New York, you know, it was just part of my show because what could I do? I had a poem, I read it. But now I get a call, people wanting to do interviews and also the promoters of my next show, which was in upstate New York. They wanted to know, like, we heard about this poem, what's going on here? Are you going to have it put to music by the time of the concert? They just asked me, you know. I'm like, I might be able to pull that together. I might be able to do that. I don't know, you know, maybe. And I'm thinking, what the heck, you know, they're putting the idea in me, you know what I mean? So that's not a bad idea. Let me see if I can do that, you know? So I put that, and then a call came in from someone who had written about me before, because I'm from upstate New York originally. And this guy, he just called me on the phone. I didn't know he was recording it, and I didn't know it was going to come out in an article. I just didn't know. I didn't know what he was doing. I picked up the phone. Hey, Rick, this is, you know, and I'm talking. Yeah, man, I heard about this poem, you know, can you recite that poem? And I recited it and it comes out in an article. In the same article comes out just something I said. Now, I wouldn't have even remembered saying this if it hadn't come out and if the guy didn't have a tape recorder on. All it was is it's something like, you know, I'm just off the top of my head, you know, if we would fill our souls up with, you know, artistry and humanity and intellectuality and these these important qualities, if we fill our souls up with these qualities, we would have a better chance at avoiding the behavior that leads to destruction. I just said that. Well, that gets lifted from that article. But I just said off the top of my head, but it got lifted and went viral too. So my point is, I got launched, my mission, which kind of comes through me, kind of got launched out of a cannon. So it's led me to believe that, we are just conduits for energy, probably. You know what I mean? It comes through us, and we should just allow it to come through us, and just don't, give credit, or maybe a higher power that we are the conduit, wherever it's coming through, that they probably deserve most of the credit.
I love how you framed that.
Yeah, because like I said, I wouldn't have known I said those words if the guy didn't have his tape recorder on. I wouldn't have even remembered.
How about that? Well, what are some of those now, like this moment of you didn't even realize you were going to say it, it became such a part of your life now since. What are some of those great moments over the years for yourself or those you've worked with, those people that have reached out to you, say you've touched me in such a way that you'd like to share?
Well, so shortly after that, I get this crazy idea because, I get these little ideas and I'm like, if somebody else does, I don't see anybody doing this. And I don't think anyone's going to do it. If I don't do this, no one's going to do it because I don't see anybody do it. No one's done it before. So I was like, I told my manager, because we started doing little things in town with Jazz for Peace, because now we had an article, we had this, we had that, I had the poem had become the music. So I said, listen, can you just call over the United Nations, send them my stuff? She's looking at me like, are you nuts? But I'm like, just send them, just try it. Call over there. Who do I talk to? I don't know. They're going to redirect you here and there. Just tell them I want to bring, people together, because jazz does that anyway. Jazz brings people together from all over the world. I had played with Israeli Palestinians. I played with people that are not supposed to be getting along in the same room tons of times. They get along just fine. On my stage, they get along great. So I don't know, but supposedly they're in this big war. So I said, if you just do it every now and then when you have a chance, just call over there, see where it leads. And sure enough, it led to this event. Now the event, we put out a little press release, did what I could do. It wasn't very well, it wasn't that attended. But we went and did it. I thought it was important. But then as time went on, other people decided it was important. You know what I mean? So I start getting letters from people. And as I was doing the benefit concert series, so this is just one of many things, but I thought it would be good for your show to hear. All of a sudden, I'm getting these letters from people that, like, how do they, I never thought they would know who I am in my lifetime or theirs, but one of the first letters I got was from the mayor of New York at that time, Michael Bloomberg. And he just, wrote this letter and included all these things about me in it that were true. We had done hundreds of benefit concerts by that time. And he was, he had written about that, and he commends as the city of New York commends me, blah, blah. So, to start to get those. And then I'm like, Jesus, who's going to be next? That the mayor of New York, that's no slouch. I start getting them, there was a Jazz for Peace Day in Alabama. Yeah, all these things start happening that you just would never dream of. I get a letter from Barack Obama, and, just as eloquent as he is, the letter is equally as eloquent, and it goes on and on. When I travel to other countries, I would get one from the Prime Minister of Kenya. Those kinds of things are like, there you go. That's just an example of.
So then honing in on I know you've done a lot in Africa, and for the audience checking it out online, there's so many videos, and it's amazing how you brought all these people together. So I know you've heard from the top people of the country. So then what is it like to be interacting with those, like, on the ground floor, so to speak, like the public, the people in the audience, and maybe the musicians? What's that experience like in a whole other country?
Well, it is so surreal, because normally, a musician, we might get to go to Paris, or we might get to go to Tokyo, these big cities, these big places. But these people had ideas, and I was just following their ideas, following their dreams. What I really love about Jazz for Peace is a lot of times I have an idea and I can't get anybody to go along with it, because, the first thing, if you really have a really good idea, you'll probably know because people think you're nuts. That's usually what people think when you have a really good idea. If people don't think you're a little nuts, you might be on the wrong track. I hate to say it, but if you look historically, all these guys were looked at as crazy when they had their great ideas, you know? So I could never get some. I've had some great ideas. I couldn't get anybody. But now I'm like, this guy has an idea. I'm just going to follow him because I'm Jazz for Peace. And that's what we do. We grow their empowerment tree. It's an outstanding cause. We're going to follow the guy's idea. So, you know, these things. And I mean, I lived in the city of, Chaka. I lived in a city called, or an area. It's not even a city. It's like an estate, they call it, the estate of Chaka, for like 2 weeks. And there's never been any. It's in Africa, and there's no people ever been there. I've never met anybody who's ever been there. Never been there. Forget about live there. I was there for weeks, you know. And I'm just amongst the African people. And I mean, you know, I'm walking down a hill, and I'm noticing some serious problems with sewage, and I'm talking to them, and you know, they're taking me to all these things, and it's kind of surreal. And you can see in some of the videos, you know, the children meeting the children, and the children just are so ecstatic. It's like, I can't, you know, I'm bringing them so much joy. All I did was walk into a room, but so what? It gave them all this joy. You know what I mean? So I'm like, damn, you know, I'll walk into any room you want if it's going to bring that much joy to that many kids, you know? And of course I would talk to them, but I had to do, like, there's so many stories I could tell you and there's not enough time, but I'll just try to keep in this one. So that one I'm talking about, that Chaco one, he's like, one day, I want you to meet some of the people that you're helping with this concert. So I meet these people who are dealing with water, these people, and now he just opens the door and I go in, these kids go crazy. I'm like, I wasn't ready for that. I didn't even, it just caught me off guard. But I've met children from other places, even as far away as Pakistan, where they were just so ecstatic. Nepal, places like that. India, you mentioned off camera. I've been to the south of India, and you can see them in the videos. You see the kids just love it.
Oh, and you know, an early guest on the show has Broadway for Arts Education, and they have an association with India, and they go there, and hearing those stories, and because you being there with Jazz for Peace is that joy, and it's that hope and that opportunity and learning, and it's just bringing so much, I'm sure, to that area.
Yeah, you know, it's like I said, it's one time there's a video we have called Jazz for Peace. I think you put Jazz for Peace intro or introduction on YouTube and you'll get to it. But it's kind of like Jazz for Peace, How We Did It, it's called. And it just shows us in all different countries, like a little bit, instead of a video of just one country, it's a video of us all over the place. And in that video, you'll see I'm in Ghana, and I'm in front of a statue of this guy named Kwame Nkrumah, who everybody in Africa knows, and nobody knows who he is here. But I did a concert in his home where he was birthplace. And they didn't even have electricity until 6 months before I got there. And only in a small part of the place is there electricity. So, but anyway, I'm in front of the statue and the kids just go crazy, and you can see it. And it was just someone happened to be, hey, go in front of the statue. I just want to, and the kids just went crazy. So it's just, it's magical.
Oh, great word
I couldn't
to use.
Staged it if I tried. I couldn't even dreamed of the staging. You know what I mean? It's just, you know.
Wow, I couldn't have even dreamed of the staging of it. Yes, I love that. And we've been talking a lot about kind of like the big umbrella stories. If something pops into my head, if you met someone on an elevator and you had 30 seconds to tell them what Jazz for Peace was, and you only had that amount of time, maybe even less, how would you describe what you do in just those few sentences?
I would tell people that we are trying to redefine peace by taking the baton from all of these greats that laid the foundation for peace. And what we're doing, what we're adding to that is helping those who are helping others. So what Jazz for Peace has done is it's helped over 850 outstanding causes. By helping an outstanding cause, not only are you helping that organization, but you're helping all of the people in their outreach. And you're helping them in a sustainable way. So we don't just help them with money, because that's really a big mistake, actually. That's kind of enslaves people. Instead, we help them by growing an empowerment tree. Funds is only one part of it. Another part of it is, but we make them more publicized. We make them more sponsored. We make them more prestigious. You know, we make them more, we unite, that we bring together their supporters and expand their donor base, things like that.
Just amazing, all the work you've been doing. And this has been just over 20 years, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
the 20.
Thinking about what year it is.
flew by. Yeah, they did.
Wow.
But
So now, especially in the harder times, are there any quotes or mantras that get you through?
be the change that you want to be is a really good one. Even though there's a rumor that that wasn't attributed to Gandhi as he spoke it, but there's something, a big long thing by Gandhi where if you get it, to get the gist of that. So somebody might have shortened that and put it, but anyway, it's a good one. And another one is I kind of like Stoic philosophy that comes from that guy Marcus Aurelius. He was a Roman Empire, and what he did was he just made a journal. He never meant anybody to see it, never meant to be published, and it's just his notes. And it's just got really good things in it, like well, one of them is not to give so much effort into what that you can't control, even though we get so upset about something, we have no control over it, but to try to focus your energies on that what you can make a difference on. So little things like that, I think, are really, they can help you, because sometimes you can get caught up, you get pulled under by the riptide. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The riptide of all the crazy news and the crazy things going on in the world, it can get the best of you.
100%.
Try to dodge those bullets if you can, and go to your inner strength.
We're coming back to that last quote you said about do what you can in just a moment. But first, I have one other question to squeeze in before that. Do you have a favorite event? And that can be favorite for a good reason or favorite because it was so impactful from a negative to a positive over the last 20 years, if you were just to pick one.
Well, I don't, I could never really do that because they are so different, and there are like 20-minute stories of every single one of them because they're so unique. But one that I do tell people that I learned a lot from, and that was one time I went all the way to California. I think it was the LA area. And this time it was to play an event for someone who was starting an organization to address bullying in the schools, bullying with kids. And boys, it was a really small little organization, just kind of on life support, trying to get themselves off the ground. And we did everything we could. We struggled on all the branches, but we got them some sponsors, got them this, got them that, put the empowerment tree, as best we could, did everything we could. And I had a really great band because there's so many great musicians out in LA. So I had these great musicians playing with me and all that stuff. And I was like, man, is this really, am I really making all this work for, And then I get a letter from the woman a few days later or whatever it was. And that letter, I was afraid she was going to say, thanks a lot. We got one or two sponsors, thanks for what little you did, maybe. Cause I tried really hard, but I wasn't sure if but the letter was not about those things that I was so worried about. It was about the transformation of her child who had been bullied.
Oh, wow.
And I hadn't thought of that. You know what I mean? Stupid me, right? But to me, that's how we grow from our mistakes. It's great to make mistakes because you grow. And, it's good so what a learning opportunity, because nothing would I have wanted more than to have a profoundly positive impact on the child. And her thing was, she just, this kid had been down in the dumps feeling like no one, this horrible, because it is traumatic. You don't realize it when you're a kid. You don't realize because you're just, you don't know anything because you're a kid, but it's traumatic on someone to get bullied. You know what I mean? It's just traumatic, horrible. So here she was telling me that, someone stood up from him and flew all the way over there, and all of the effect that it had on him. And I'm like, wow, I could have never, there's no amount of sponsors that could have replaced helping the kid, because that's what it's all about, to help the kid who was bullied. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes I just remember that because I don't want somebody else to lose track of that. We have to concentrate on the actual people that we're trying to, and I never thought I could have pulled that off. So in other words, it was way beyond what I didn't think I could help him that as much as she had described. So that really made me feel good.
Well, that's huge. And it's so often, right, especially when organizations and red tape and bottom lines are brought in, there's so much that we get hung up on, the numbers and the amounts and all of that. but really it's these stories that are ones that have the biggest, you know, or sometimes at least, most often, I don't want to overgeneralize, but boy, do they have such a huge impact. It's that one person, right? If we all could make a difference to one person, how much better would this world be?
Oh, right. And not only that, but I knew going into all of this that jazz had the ability to have a profoundly positive impact on one person. So I knew that, you know, the music itself could all by itself have a profoundly positive impact on somebody. And for that reason alone, that concert is a grand slam. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have a profoundly positive on one life. And that is a difference because, you know, it's not every day that you can do that, that you can, you know, and I've seen it myself. I've experienced it by myself being in the audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And this is the person that you heard from. How many other people were out there that have been affected that you don't even know their stories, but had a profound effect?
Right, because I never wrote to the person who gave me a profoundly positive impact, so that person has no idea.
And now going with the last piece we were just talking about, combined with that quote you mentioned about doing what you can, if someone wanted to make a difference and they knew they wanted to, but they didn't know where to start, they didn't know how they could change the world, you know, whether that's big or small, is there any advice that you'd give them?
Well, I would say if you're watching this, consider just contacting Jazz for Peace and saying, I live in so-and-so, I've got 2 jobs, but I want to make a difference. I'm busy, I'm this, I'm that, because that's what we do. We provide all of that mechanism. A lot of the outstanding causes that we help are overburdened. They don't have first of all, they don't really even know how to put on an event, some of them. They've never even had fundraisers. And second of all, even if you provided them a fundraiser, they wouldn't know how to execute it. But we provide a world-class cultural event at no cost to you, plus the staffing and the guidance, you know, all of that stuff to make it a success. So we provide all of that stewardship and guidance to make that event a success. And that's why people read the testimonials and think this is too good to be true. And this could never happen for me. Well, if you can follow our steps and we can get you this world-class cultural event at no cost to you with funds already in your bank account, and you let our team guide you, you definitely could be one of those people that you see in those testimonials. You really could.
That's remarkable. So a cause, an organization, a nonprofit can reach out directly to you. You can help them get the publicity to the organization, bring up their image, get the eyes by bringing, like you said, the world-class event to them.
Right. And a person who just wants to know about us or just wants to do something, they can take this information and maybe they know of an outstanding cause, or maybe they have a friend who's associated. You see what I mean? So we can help somebody who wants to make a difference. We could, we see who they are and we can help them. Somebody can fill out our little questionnaire that we have, volunteer questionnaire, and they can just put, I just want to make a freaking difference. You know what I mean? And we'll look at what, and we'll figure out how they can play a role in, Jazz for Peace making a difference for somebody.
Great. And that's like a whole other level of wonderful, because that aspect of being overwhelmed of, I don't know what to do. I know I could do something. So it's just answer the form and then we'll go from there and you'll have someone help you. So I love that. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, because what we really try to do, we try to provide the way for those who have the will. Because if you don't have the will, we're kind of stuck. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you have the will, we want to provide the way, because a lot of people with the will are stuck. You know what I mean? There are too many things going, they need somebody with the way. So that's where we feel like we can really make the most difference, providing the way to those who have the will.
Absolutely fantastic. And now where can people find out about you and reach out to you online? Give us all the social handles and websites.
Sure. So the best thing is simply our email address, which is a simple generic email address, info @jazzforpeace.org. Jazzforpeace.org is our website. And if you really want to, learn some stuff fast, you can go to jazzforpeace.org knowthefunder.pdf, because we feel like the three most important words in philanthropy, which no one tells anybody, is not give me money, it's know the funder.
Oh, excellent. And those will all be in the show notes as well. And also just go to the website and see the insane list of accolades and feedback and YouTube clips. It goes on, and it's really amazing. So Rick, thank you so much for all that you have done, are doing, and are going to be continued to do in this world.
My pleasure. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you.
And I'll see you out on the streets of New York.
Oh, yeah, I will see you around campus.
Thanks so much for listening to Be the Good with Kate Chericello. Whether you're listening on YouTube or via podcast, it would mean the world if you liked, subscribed, and or left a review. You heard about the good? Now go out and be the good in your life this week. If you have stories of good news that need to be shared, please send me a message. Thanks again, and have a great week.